Welcome back to my channel. This time, you're going to learn about writing variation statements and mathematical equations given the graphs. So let's have a review about the different types of variation. If you haven't watched my other videos about variation, you can watch it here. So here we have the direct variation, and that is y is equal to k times x. It means that as x increases, y also increases. Or other way around, if x decreases, y also decreases. The other one is inverse variation, y is equal to k over x. Here, as x increases, y decreases, or vice versa. Now, let's review how to write the variation statement. S varies directly with x means S is equal to k times x. If I have y varies directly with the square of x means that y is equal to k times x squared. Y varies inversely with r means that y is equal to k over r. And q varies inversely with the square of r means that q is equal to k over r squared. So take note the difference of these two. These two variations, direct variation and inverse variation, involves two quantities. So if the given involves two quantities, it means that your choices is either direct variation or inverse variation. Now, you're going to identify if what's the relation there. Is it increasing? Both quantities are increasing, or one is increasing and one is decreasing? Okay, now, what about here's the other types of variation. So we have the joint variation. That is y is equal to k times x times z. K is the constant of variation, y is the dependent variable, and x, z, the other two quantities. So it involves three quantities here, three or more quantities for joint variation. As x and z increases here, y also increases. The value of y will be affected by the value of x and z. So we have combined variation is simply combination of it's either direct variation and inverse or joint variation and inverse variation. So y is equal to k times x over z. It means combination of direct and inverse variation. So let's have some variation statements and mathematical equations. So y varies jointly with x and z means y is equal to k times x times z. P varies jointly with R and S means P is equal to K times R times S. So just simply multiply the two other quantities here with the constant of variation. Now, for combined variation, we have Y varies directly with X and inversely with Z. Means Y is equal to K times X divided by Z. Because of inversely means the other quantity should be in the denominator. Q varies jointly with S and the square of R and inversely with T, means jointly. So that is now Q is equal to K times S times R, the two quantities. So that is Q is equal to K times S times R squared because that's the square of R, divided by T because inversely with T. So inverse variation means the other variable should be in the denominator. So now what are we going to do now is, given the graph, we are going to give the variation statement. Okay, so of course we need to examine the graph first. So look at this one. This is now the graph of here the number of days worked. Here is the salary. And the graph is a straight line. You notice that as the value of x increases, the value of y also increases. Look at this. Here we have x is 2 and y is 1,000. If x is 3, y is 1,500. If x is 4, y is 2,500. If x is 5, y is 2,500. So here, as the value of x increases, the value of y also increases. What type of variation is that? That is direct variation. So what are we going to do is, since we identify already that this is direct variation, that's very important first, you need to identify the graph if what kind of variation. Now, other than that, aside from that the value of x increases, also the value of y increases, we have also two quantities here, x and y. If we have two quantities, the choices are direct variation and inverse variation. But this one, as x increases, y also increases. So this is direct variation. So we are going to write the statement of variation, and that is, what is the dependent variable here is y. The salary will depend on the number of days worked, of course. So y varies directly as x, and that is the statement of variation. Y varies directly as x. Next, write the mathematical equation, so that is y is equal to k times x. Okay, next is we need to solve for the constant of variation. Okay, k. So what is the formula? Y is equal to k times x. Or to solve for k is simply divide both sides by x. We can derive it here. K is equal to divide both sides by x. So this is 1. So k is equal to y over x. That is how you're going to solve for k now. Okay, so that is k is equal to y over x. Now, what is y? So in order for you to solve for k, you can simply choose any point here, any coordinates of the point. If you're going to use this, x is 2, then y is 1,000. If you're going to use this, means x is 5 and y is 2,500. So let's use this one. Okay, so that is y is 2,500 divided by 5, which is the value of x. So we use the point 5, which is x, and the value of y is 2,500. You can choose any points on that line. So what is 2,500 divided by 5? That is 500, which is the constant of variation. What is that 500 means? This is the rate per day. This is now the salary per day. Now, next is to write the equation of variation. So how to write the equation of direct variation is simply y, here, this is the mathematical equation, right? Y is equal to kx. So instead of writing k, you're going to replace the value of k, which is 500. So y is equal to 500 times x. This is now the equation of inverse variation. Okay? So here's the other graph. So let us study this one. So we know that there are two quantities, x and y, which means our choices, it's either direct variation or inverse variation. Now, the x here represents the number of people doing the work, and the y, number of hours to finish the work. So if we observe the ordered pairs, so if x is 2, the value of y is 18. So here, if x is 3, the value of y is 12. If x is 4, the value of y is 9. And if x is 6, the value of y is 6. So as the value of x increases, the value of y decreases, which means that this is inverse variation. Okay, so we know already the kind of variation here. So inverse. So we can now write the statement of variation, which means that y varies inversely as x. The value of y will depend on the value of x. So here, as x increases, y decreases. So write the mathematical equation. So y is equal to k over x. And solve for the constant of variation. Simply choose any ordered pairs here as your x and y. So you can choose this or here or 4 and 9. So instead of writing x, you can substitute the value of x. Okay? So to solve for the value of k. So we need the value of k here. So the formula in finding for the value of k in inverse variation is simply k is equal to xy. Okay, that's the formula for inverse variation. In our previous lesson, we discussed about this. Or you can also derive it here. This is y is equal to k over x, which means to solve for k, you just simply cross multiply. Understood, there is 1 here, so cross multiply k times 1, that is k, and we have here now y times x. Okay, so this is k times 1, that is k, and is equal to x times y. Okay, so in case you forgot. Now, you can substitute now the value of x and y. So let's say we use 4 and 9 here. That's the ordered pair. So 4 and 9. You can choose any ordered pair to solve for k. So simply multiply this. 4 times 9. So that is equal to 36. Because all of this, if you multiply, it's all equal to 36. 2 times 18, 36. 3 times 12, 36. 6 times 6, 36. Because they are constant of variation. Now you know the value of k, which is 36. You can now solve or write the variation equation. So the equation of inverse variation now is, instead of k, you are going to substitute the value of k, which is 36. So y is equal to 36 over x. Okay, so that's very simple. But you need to be careful in analyzing the graph. So that's all for this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the notification bell so you'll get updated whenever I have a new video. Bye! See you in the next one.